When you were a child, did you ever have that moment you wanted something so bad it hurt, you made yourself a promise? And you never let go of that promise? I did. I wanted two things. I wanted to live in a safe community, and more than anything else, I wanted to live in a safer, kinder, and loving home. Without knowing when and how, I made myself a promise to get there. A promise that became a series of commitments to self, to my community, to motherhood, which then became something that shaped my values and principles in life. I was born in Ozami City, Philippines. I was the 10th child out of the 13. Neither my parents had proper education. My father, he was a very generous man, but he was alcoholic. My mom was a very motivated, strong woman, but as a mother to me, she was not very affectionate or loving. We used to own a small takeout restaurant that had provided for everything we needed to survive. But it robbed me of my entire childhood. Every day, I was my mother's kitchen assistant, her wood chopper, house cleaner, her babysitter, her errand girl. The list can go on until I retire, maybe 11 or 1 in the evening and wake up at 5. I was 7 when that started. And within this time as well, my older siblings have left home. They were tired of the beatings and the fightings at home. My daily exposure to the verbal and physical abuse at home and the heavy gang-related activities in my community, like the extensive drug dealings, bombings, prostitution, gang wars, and the deployment of military men in my community brought me nightmares that lasted for years and restlessness that never end. I was 8 and out of school when I realized my only way out was only through education. So I went to school, rain or shine. No amount of bruises, bullies, and chaos in my community could ever stop me from going to school. High school was not at all easy. I had this experience when I turned 13 on my birthday that a robber was shot dead in front of me. Fortunately, I had this strong ability, this strong audiovisual learning ability that had allowed me to just be able to excel in school. That surprised many of my teachers. When I was in college, people were surprised in school when I became the student council president without running for the office. I was voluntold by my teachers. It was then that I first knew that I had a hard time saying no. I was 21 when I acquired a degree in Bachelor's of Art in Literature. 23 when I became a teacher. And the best years of my teaching career was spent gladly with the community that I learned to love, and it's the Aboriginal community in my province. There, we're able to create literacy programs to reach out to these people. We created initiatives for empowerment for the elders, for the women, for the children and the youth through community performing arts. Lobbied to different places, to national and international. It was a journey of an uphill climb. But in that journey, through that journey, I've met amazing community leaders and elders that have shaped my strong sense of community. And they taught me the value of sharing your time, understanding problems, and coming through despite of barriers. By now I know you would be asking, which part in my story is Canada? It was during this height of my nonprofit career in the Philippines that I was asked by my sister to come to Canada. She used to live here in Fort McMurray. She told me that with my education, my skills, and my relentless energy, I'd do well here, especially if I work in the oil sands. I didn't know what oil sands then. So it didn't really ring a bell to me. But the real turning point for me was when I was 29. It was a moment with my sister-in-law and her 14-year-old daughter, who was not only lost in the world, but also pregnant. It was one time when my sister-in-law asked me to take her to the abortionist. It didn't sit well in my core. So when this young girl came to me to ask for an advice, it was a long, heart-wrenching discussion until she decided against taking her own baby's life. And I committed to taking care of her and support her through and through. It was also in this time, surprising time, that my mother became involved in this nurturing journey with us. A kind of transformation I never expected to happen, but it was much needed. When this young girl gave birth to a son, my mom had sent out for me to come and see them. I didn't want to, but I came anyways. So when I came to my mother's house, we were there, and she was telling me, look at the baby's face, he's beautiful. I said, no. But the mother was sick, and so I took a peek in the room for the first time in my life. I never felt so at peace. And while this boy was crying, I said to myself, no way that he would be crying for love, for home, and for opportunities in life. Suddenly, the me promising myself about something became promising something for my son. Because when the mother hinted for his adoption, I signed up for it. I can be his mother. How could you say no to that, Faith? So I packed my things, came to Canada, and came through the live-in caregiver program. They said it's easy. Many of you know what I meant about easy. It's really not. When I came to Canada, I understood that it was created to address a need for childcare in the country. It did help many, many women and mothers. I understood, with my strong nonprofit background, I understood that it was much needed. But what I did not understood was when part of its regulation created barriers for others who lost their job to be able to transition right away to another job to work for families that needed them so much, that really created the reason, that really allowed the reason to have that program. The need and the barrier don't match. Imagine yourself in a country so far away from your home, having to provide everything for your children, living in your employer's house, and when you lost a job, you lost your job, you lost your housing. Well, you can't live with your employer when you don't anymore work for them. You lost the ability to support your family. For these women in this program, the journey was not only far towards the light at the end of the tunnel, but it was also cold, because most of it happens in the winter. And it's also lonely. But I'm not here to speak about what didn't work. After I finished the Live-In Caregiver program, I discovered so many beautiful things in this community, its potential, services that are available. Many of you, community leaders, making a difference, one step at a time. And at many times, many steps at a time. So in 2010, we created a nonprofit for the live-in caregivers, whose vision is to empower the immigrant women and increasing their community sense. Together, we created classes, events, programs for them to get connected, to talk, to not feel alienated, and to speak not of their hardships, but the things that can work beyond all those barriers. We had empowerment that did not stop just for an individual level, but as a group. So as we created, last year we created an annual immigrant sports fest that engaged people, but really, I volunteered those girls to sit in the committees and take the leadership and develop that sense of community. The common word in our organization is being volunteered. I am happy to say that these women are here to stay. Not to take away anything, but to add value to whatever is in this community. To myself, reflecting back to my past, and here in Canada, I live past 30 after all, and already living in this community, meeting all these wonderful community leaders and mentoring me as we go. As for my child, who is now 8, it's amazing to say, I just realized this, that I was also 8 when I promised for my education. Now my son is 8. After long years, and that's the ladies sharing their cultural heritage. After 6 long years of challenging the process, the immigration process, I'm happy to say that although my son is still in the Philippines, he will be coming next month. I cannot wait to share to him the potential of this community. I cannot wait to mentor him of how it is to become an engaged community member. As a mother, I can only hope that I could share to him the wonder of what it is to have a safe, loving, and kind home, and be able to support him as he himself begin a journey that would shape his own life's values and principles with your help. Thanks.